welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club with 4 race starts. We're going to start with our Category 4 riders, then 3, 2 and 1. Our riders lined up in yellow, that is our Category 1 riders. In green, our Category 2. In blue, Category 3. And Category 4 in red. And the gaps are forming, and this is why everybody wants to be at the front. You don't want to be caught the wrong side of a gap and then have to chase down with even more power than the riders at the very front of the group are using.
Fink has indeed pushed away. She's now got a 45-second gap on that chase group, and it looking like that chase group, well, that is the entire pack.
Fredo put in the move there. Bjarhead quickly up there. Cavado, Fua, almost forcing people to play their cards early here. No holding back. You can't keep an ace in there. And look at the split. Look at the gap. Look at it open out. Tanya Howeiler has got to be in with a chance here. She's got 20 seconds lead on Angel Hadlock up behind. Then it's Novelink Conan, who is chasing hard. Fua is setting a tempo up here. She comes towards the top of the climb. She's looking to break people off the back of this group. She's looking to put people in trouble. 1K in front is Ella Vink. Ella Vink is going to be the rider who's going to get to the polka dot banner first.
Ella Vink has kicked. Ella Vink is wanting this, and that is the banner. Vink sees the finish line. Vink kicks. It's Category 4. Ella Vink, she is going to be your winner today.
Hello and welcome to the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Qualifier race number 2, 10th of September. Time flies when you're having fun, and we've been having some great fun calling the action so far. As you'll have seen in the rewinds, it's been an absolutely manic week. My name is Matt Payne, and you can catch up with me at Matt Fix Payne on social media. One day I will tell that story. No story needed for my co-host here, Emma Martin, who is at Biking Emma. And if you can't work it out from that, there's something wrong, isn't there, Emma, really?
I think it is, isn't it? I mean, I'll put it the other way around. Emma rides a bike.
Damn right, do. 2 right. Exactly, got it in one.
Correction. Emma rides lots of different bikes.
That is true. Indoors, outdoors, mountain bikes, cross bikes, a multi-talented rider. We are going back to the original world, though, aren't we?
We are indeed.
We're going back to the penny farthing of worlds, really, here on MyWhoosh.
Yeah, qualifier race number 2 in September. We're heading to Arabia for the Jebel Yais for the women's race. So 35 kilometres of racing today, 633 metres of climb. And whilst you might think the Category 2 climb coming at the end is the key feature of this race today, there is lots along the way to keep this race moving. So we have 5 300-metre sprint segments today and 2 climbs. Now, that first climb is unclassified. It's 2.5 kilometres long. 2.1 kilometres long with 1.2% average gradient. But there are lots of rollers and technical ground till we get to that 28-kilometre mark.
And can't discount the fact that, of course, there is so much climbing on this route outside of the categorized climbs. For me, key part, that depression, that dip down and kicker just before the main climb. So 4 categories going to take to the start here in Arabia, a world you can visit. 17 routes here in Arabia for you to jump on. Our riders will be finishing on the Jebel Yais climb for the finish. As you'll have seen, 1, 2, 3, and 4 category riders all set and ready to go. Category 4 will be the first riders away. Cracking race field here. Salama Al-Kaibi, Elizabeth Smithson, Idzik, and of course, the riders who seem to make a habit of being in those top 5.
Well, I'll tell you something. We really have some riders on form at the moment. So Rename Joy-Mare was 4th last week. Gina De Gracia was 3rd. Myra Madera 5th. Ella Vink took the win, and Natalia Idzik was 2nd. Now, all 5 of those riders are indeed here today. But when we were on the Hafit for the final last month, Almond Sori mixed the pack and Smithson and made the top 5. So I think this is going to be really interesting with that long Category 2 climb to finish.
So our riders are getting ready to go.
They are indeed, and we are in with Musa Al-Mansouri as the seconds tick down, and away go category 4. This is the first category today, the first of our 4 women's categories on qualifier race number 2 for September.
So the riders are away. They are out and racing. If you're going to be watching the racing, don't forget, of course, you can subscribe on Twitch TV. It's MyWhoosh live on Twitch TV. Tell your friends about it. It's great to see so many new faces on there. Thank you, everybody, for the feedback. Lots of great comments, lots of great contacts, lots of private messages, of course, coming into us as well. Always good to hear, good to get your thoughts on what's going on. Don't forget, you jump on the Facebook pages of MyWhoosh as well, MyWhoosh Indoor Cycling, for all the users who are out there. And don't forget, of course, you can get on to Instagram or X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. So make sure you jump on board. Get in touch with us. It's great to have lots of new viewers. Thank you for watching. A little bit of background. My name's Matt Payne, as you'll have seen from the screen, and I am a regular commentator, professional commentator now for more decades than I care to remember, including lots of world championships and World Cups, etc., as well as lots of grassroots events. Emma beside me, also World Championship commentator at Glasgow, and a regular esports rider just like myself, as well as a rider of many disciplines, and again a commentator and host professionally now for a number of years. So it's great to be with you. It's great to be working with the team at MyWhoosh, and we're going to bring you some great action. Now the riders settled in. My waffling, very good at that, oddly enough, being a commentator, is taking us nearly to the 1K mark, which means the riders should have settled down. Emma, what's happening?
Well, they have indeed settled down, and it is quite a fast, flat start on this course in Arabia today, very much unlike the finish. And we're in with Liz Smithson at the moment. You can see the pack all tight on the road. Now, the eagle-eyed viewer amongst you will have spotted on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you will see what looks like a satellite navigation image of the road network that these riders are on at the moment. And that tight red blob indicating that the entire pack of this Category 4 race are all together as they come up and cross this road junction. So the riders sweeping through, and you can see just pushing on, Giraldo is here, Mayer is here, Al-Mansouri, Smithson, Becerra is here, Kirchner, Tanglian is in this group, so is Maria Gill. So these riders all riding this tight group at the moment.
And for those people who are maybe new to the sport, the benefits of riding that tight group is you don't have to work as hard. If your numbers at the top of the screen where it says what's are in green, it means you are in the draft, you're hiding out the way, you're not having to push your way through the air, and it is a lot easier than being on the very front when the numbers go into the white or when there's a gap between the riders. So trying to stay in that group is a key skill. And skill development for the riders in Category 4 is probably where the biggest benefits are in terms of getting ready to move up from Category 4 to 3 to 2 to 1, Emma.
Absolutely. You know, these riders, we do see progression amongst the field. In fact, Tanya Holweller joins Category 2 today from Category 3. She's been very, very dominant over the last few weeks in that category, Category 3, moving up through the ranks into the top 5, and she's taken a number of wins recently in that category. So it's fantastic to see her progressing to Category 2, which I think will mix up the racing a little today, both in Category 3, but as well, it would be really interesting to see how strongly she can ride with the extra competition from Category 2.
Yeah, and that's all part of the progression, and it's something that's been in since the inception. When originally we were on 3 categories, we're now on 4 categories. Category 4, first away, on the right of your screen. Category 3 on the left of your screen. We're going to go dive in with our starters here. Our regulars like Golden Light down on the start line, as well as riders just a little bit newer to the platform and moving the way up and through. Emma, in terms of a Category 3, anybody particularly stand out as being on form at the moment?
Well, we do indeed have some good riders with us. So Alzat, Hadlock and Gallego, third, fourth, and fifth last week. Holweller, as I've mentioned, has gone up to category 2. Kekkonen, who took second last week, well, she's not riding this week. So I think this is a really open race today.
So Emma's predicting an open race. We'll see who is going to take up that challenge as category 3 get underway here on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Off from the start, heading out around this amazing world, the original world here on MyWhoosh, a world that has developed, expanded, and it's amazing to see. If you're watching on Twitch TV, you're going to see that MyWhoosh live on Twitch TV. It's not compressed. Even when it's coming to you live, we do suggest that's the best place to watch and catch up with all the action. Make sure you're watching. The more information, Emma, a rider has generally, as long as they can understand it all, then generally the better it is, because of course the rider's angle will generally be fixed, whereas we get to watch in a multitude of angles.
You see, I want to say yes to what you've said, but I also want to say no to what you've just said.
Okay, why yes?
Well, yes, because the information tells you something. And if you're a bit of an information geek, like we know some of our riders are, well, I am to start with, but you like the information, you like working things through, you like knowing your numbers, you like benchmarking against other people, etc. But also benchmarking against yourself, which I think is more important. Other riders and other racers just love to go on feel, as we're watching Ella Vink. Well, Ella Vink is going for it here. That is the first sprint of the race today, and Ella Vink, well, she's pushed on because she wanted to pick up that green jersey, because take a look at that, the sprint jerseys are being awarded now through those segments, so Vink now in green. But back to what I was saying, some riders like to go on feel, and in that case, well, sometimes numbers aren't important.
Well, for me, it's the information isn't necessarily numerical. The information for me is actually about what's happening in the race, the feel of the race. So I'm definitely not a data number. In fact, my maths, as has been proven already today, is absolutely rubbish. I was bad at it at school. However, I like to go on what it feels like and when I'm racing. So I want to watch this race field, and I want to see where the riders are. I want to see what's happening in front, behind, because if I was racing on the road or on the mountain bike, that's what I would be doing. So having 2, maybe 3 screens up there with lots of information about what's happening in terms of feel, rather than necessarily an empirical, data-driven information overload would definitely be for me. But it would still be having lots of different screens. So do make sure you get those setups. If you've got a particularly astounding setup or a really spot on one, we always love to see where you're riding, what you're up to. Make sure you get in touch with @Biking Emma. Send the pictures. Emma geeks out on pain caves day in, day out. It is absolutely true, believe me. Okay, so Ella Vink on the attack. Natalia Idzik making the junction across. The riders trying to bridge across to come back into town. This slight descent coming down here. Musa Al-Mansouri making the move across. These groups are splitting and coming together, splitting and coming together. Really interesting race action. Fantastic view back across the bridge here. And you can see that the pressure is on early in this race. 35 kilometers of racing in total. And we are just over 10%. There you are, my maths is working just about. And they're on the way back into town.
Well, and let's not forget, Category 4 often gives us really aggressive racing.
Yeah.
Last week we saw this category give us the most aggressive racing in the entire women's 4 race fields. So never discount our category 4 racers, and often we are willing them to the finish first because of the nature of the racing, and that's what they're racing for. How long can they be leaders on the road?
Well, we will soon find out. It was great racing.
It was phenomenal.
So yesterday I was actually on a water station on a local event. I was sat there, and towards the end there were some bigger gaps between the riders, let's say. And in that point, I watched back the women's race just so that I could catch up with all of the action ready for today. It was really, it was the best use of time ever. Okay, 4 groups of riders, category 4, 3, 2, and 1. Category 2 are the next to go. You can just see the action continue to unfold as Emma keeps a check on that. But we're in with category 2. Our riders all riding individually in our qualifiers. And as you can see, a real galaxy of stars on your start sheet, Emma.
Yeah, absolutely it is, because Hermansen and Embring, well, they have been dominating this category. But we've got some new riders in here today. Lam Kong is coming down into category 2 after having had the verification done on her riding. So that's going to be interesting to see what the Hong Kong rider can do. Botero is here, so is Miller and Alzat. And Tucanis has been riding really strongly as well. So looking forward to this, and obviously the addition of Hoella. So we're in with Julia Walkenhorst as the seconds tick down. This is category 2. They are away. This is the Sunday Race Club. It's qualifier race number 2 for September. I have to keep drawing a breath there because I cannot believe we are already in September. But the racing is thick and fast every Sunday on the Sunday Race Club, and the women's racing never disappoints.
It doesn't, and I've got to say, really impressive racing. I'm loving the progression. I'm also loving the way that the race fields are becoming really concentrated here. So let's watch these riders make their way out from the race start and start to make their way in through towards the city. So our riders are heading in towards town, looking pretty good, Emma, there. I was just having a little scrutinisation. I don't think that's
a scrutinisation.
Yeah, I was.
You were scrutinising.
I was scrutinising. That's the correct word. Get the English correct. So there's a few people who failed to do so, me included on occasions.
Yeah,
apologies if that happens. But my scrutiny of this group was that this is one of the steadiest starts I think we've seen for a while, and I think in some ways, I think the riders, as you move through the categories, they get a little bit wiser to the where you need to put the power down.
Well, yes.
But no, go on.
Well, I think this is so interesting, and I think we see different types of tactics on different courses, and I think today's course is really driving what we're seeing in this category 2 race in front of us. Now, with the 7.5 kilometre climb coming at the end of this race. That is 2/3 of the total climb in the 35 kilometres of racing ahead of these women today. And I think for category 2, well, it's a really open race field. Well, I say that, behind Hermansen and Embring. So I think they're just playing it a little bit safe today at the moment. But in with category 3 now, 7 minutes 15 of racing time. And this has also settled down somewhat. It's a tight pack on the road. They've done 4 kilometres of racing now. Say it's a tight pack on the road because they are not moving particularly fast. They are sitting at around, we're in with Jose Zabala at the moment, 2.6 watts per kilo, but I've seen 2s flash up, I've seen 1.9s flash up. So this is a very steady state for this category 3 race.
It is, and it's across the road, and that's the real indicator, isn't it? Just like you would find if you were riding outdoors rather than indoors on the MyWhoosh platform. Across the road, wider it is. You can see it on the tours. You can see it in the Vuelta. You can see it in the Salamana Classic at the moment. The women's racing. When it's across the road, the pressure's off. When it's like this, wow, and it's under pressure, then you can see the riders in a line just having to fight to get back onto the wheels in 1s, in maybe 2 across the road. If you're really unlucky, as the riders move out of the draft and back in. But this, the pressure's on as they come through category 4 in the red at 7 kilometers covered, 13.5 minutes of racing plus complete. And at the moment, they are working well. So as you can see, category 4, 3 and 2 well underway. Category 1, the only riders waiting in the pens. Now, category 1, quick reminder, category 1 is where all of our riders go to start off with, and then when they are verified, they move out into the other categories. So really going to be interesting to see where our riders move to. But at the moment, this is a big race field. They're going to be getting ready to head out onto the course. Will it be our regular suspects up at the top? Well, not always the case.
Well, talking about regular suspects, Catherine Fua has
Yeah.
been absolutely on form the last few weeks. Her climbing has progressed phenomenally, and she took first place on the Jebel Hafit, which was the August final. She took first place last week. I'm expecting that form to continue today, but Koistinen, Sanchez, and Bjarhead are also going to be good.
I thought you were about to make a prediction before it
No,
even
I'm
set
not
off
going to
then.
make a prediction.
I
Don't
am.
worry.
I am. I'm going to go for Catherine Fua as
Well,
my hot
Can
favourite
I
for
just
this.
say to you, Quevedo, Menendez, and Bardskaya are not on the start sheet today.
Well, that's going to potentially fall into the hands of Catherine Fua. Will the predictions be right? Here we go. It is qualifier race number 2 underway. And they are making their move. This is the run out. Everybody safely away. They are. So all of our riders out from the pens and on to the course here on qualifier number 2 on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. And our category 1 riders starting at the back. Will they still be at the back at the top? I suspect today is a day they have the potential to catch the very front of the race on the road itself. No, remember, the prize is all about those individual categories.
Well, more of a stretched start from Category 1 today than we've seen in some of the other categories, and that is really interesting as it already stretches its way out. So Angie Para right up at the front there. Barco is up there, and Lopez to Cornelia Engstrom. Now, she rode really well on the August final, which was the Jebel Hafit, so her climbing really good and may well come to the fore today. So that is also going to be an interesting rider to watch.
It is indeed. The riders that are on the way up to the climb already are Category 4 furthest down the road, Category 1 chasing. Now, I think this climb is going to suit Fua. That's why I've gone for her as a hot pick here. And as you said, we've got riders missing, and that does change the dynamic, doesn't it? And it's not always to the benefit of the favourites, because it could be that they were using the strength of other riders when they've taken the wins.
Yes. And let's not forget, Quevedo and Fua are normally teammates. So when we come to the team competition, we do normally find those two in the same team. So that having the teammates around you, even though it's not a team competition until the end, does help your racing. But I don't think, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, somebody has got to take it to Catherine Fua if they don't want her to win today.
So let's keep an eye on Catherine Fua. She's the rider we are watching at the moment. The personalisation means our riders can change the colour of the helmet, the socks. They can change all of their kit as they make their way down into the garage, looking at what they want to put on their rider so that they can be easy to spot. So Fua at the moment on the front of this group with Marlene Bjarhead. Bjarhead has the blue cap. You can just see Fua just dropping back through this race field. And we've got 1 or 2 new riders maybe we haven't highlighted so far.
Yeah, we do indeed. So we're really good to see this here. So Nikki Lloyd joining us today. Nikki Lloyd was the winner of the signed UAE Team ADQ jersey for completing all of the Tour de France training programs.
So the training programs on MyWhoosh, one of the great competitions, lots of competitions, lots of sports supported by MyWhoosh, not just the professional teams, and the time with those professional teams mean that those professional team workouts were available. If you did them all, you could get that signed jersey. We're watching Nikki at the moment, 212 watts, and I'm sure going to be showing us just what that training has done.
Well, congratulations on winning the jersey, completing the training programs, but also great to have you on the Sunday Race Club, Nikki, and fantastic to see you, and let's see what you can do.
Yeah, let's see if she's
no pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, Nikki.
I really didn't mean it to sound like that.
Well, our riders are competing. She's in with a chance of some serious prize money here today across all of our categories, and it's going to be very interesting to see how that plays out as they make their way out around the course. So I think we'll get ourselves in and through the sprint segment that's coming up, the first one. If your memory is good enough, you'll remember that the first of our sprint segment comes at 3 kilometres. So on our way in, so about 800 metres to tell you. Segments, key thing to remember on all these segments is, whilst there is an award in terms of a green skin suit for the fastest rider through in the category, and there's one for polka dots for the mountains. There are no prizes for this at the moment, unlike there was in, for example, the championship. So the stage race that took place earlier in the year, the 8-day 7-stage $1 million US prize fund. Well, that had prizes for the King of the Mountains, the sprints as well. On the qualifiers at the moment on Sunday Race Club, we have no prize money, but we do have the kudos and the bragging rights, and your avatar gets attired in a full green or full polka dot, a skin suit as you make your way through. So that is in accumulated points as the riders go through in the categorized classes and in the sprint segments. Now, all of the sprint segments today are 300 meters long, and the time is key. It's not about who's first across the line, as it would be on a Grand Tour. Stay in the Vuelta, for example, is a great example because it's on at the moment. It is also, for us, a snapshot. It's a view into the race.
Yeah, it is indeed. And that final Queen of the Mountains or sprint position, based on the number of points you accumulate through each of the sprint segments or through the number of climbs.
There you go.
Well, last week's winner of the Queen of the Mountains overall was Catherine Fua from Category 1, but the overall sprint was taken by Garcia from Category 2 in this women's event.
So that's actually across all 4 categories.
So that was across all 4 of the categories.
That's really interesting, isn't it? That sometimes you can actually see different categories going, and different riders having different targets on the way through. We use it here on the Sunday Race Club as a snapshot. It's a great indicator to show you what the riders are actually doing and how they are riding. That is really, really key here. So you can just see the riders coming in and through at 3.3k complete, now into 3.4. Those meters ticking by super fast as we watch Nikki Lloyd come around that right hand turn, nicely tucked in to this group as they come around the turn. Let's take a look at where we're at the moment, and as you can see, the indicator shows Category 2 is aggressive, it's fast, as is Category 4 and 3, and really missing in action is going to be, I think, Category 1. I'm going to just double check that.
Garcia, let's put this into context. Garcia last week took the overall sprint jersey, and look at that, she's going for it again. So she has a clear plan, looking at that 4 watts per kilo average from Garcia in Category 2, well clear of everybody else. Category 1, Nikki Lloyd coming through with the fastest time there, but in 22nd position. Now, there's a big difference here. It is not just outright power that will win you the sprint. Tactics also play a part as well, particularly tactics around utilising the draft.
So we will see who has those as we go through. Remember, it's that snapshot is a great indicator for us, telling us who, what, where, and when. The riders moving well through there. All 4 groups underway here and looking really good. So remember, we have the categories are getting their own prize of money in each of our categories, and I suspect these riders have these numbers off by heart in their various categories. So Category 4, this is our base level category, so it has our standard prize of money, is 2,160 AED for first place, down to 432 AED for 5th. Remember, qualifying races such as today and indeed next week is for the individual riders. Once we go to the finals, individual classification plus the team classification as well, which does change the dynamics. Now, as we move up, once we move up from our standard category, it is an elevated standard, so that means we've got an elevated prize of fund, 3,600 AED for first to 720 for 5th in category number 3, and in category number 2, the riders going through with 6,000 for the win, 1,200 for 5th. As you can see on there, the team prize at the end of the month going up to 30,000 AED, so really, really substantial sum. And then we have the top tier, Emma?
Yeah, we do
10,000
indeed.
AED for the win.
Yeah, it is indeed. So for the qualifier race, 10,000 AED for first place today, down to 2,000 AED for fifth. Now, all the prize money between the men's and the women's racing absolutely equal. And take a look at that addition to the team's classification, 50,000 AED for the first team in Category 1 at the end of the month.
Wow. Fantastic prizes. Now, you may not be operating in AED. We have people from around the globe. So I'm going to go. I've got one that I want to go for. Have you got one as well?
I do.
Right. Okay. Can I go first?
Go on.
So this is a shout out to Max Clure, who I work with on many of the events. Max, this is for you. The prize fund for the win, if you were to be faster and fitter and not just be able to talk quick, 52,067 South African rand. Max actually from South Africa. So 52,067 South African rand is the equivalent of 10,000 AED. Who's yours for? What have you got for you?
Well, I've gone for Colombian pesos.
Okay, brilliant one. Love it.
Well, I've got to work it out first.
It's a lot, I take it.
It's huge. I'm not quite sure I can work that out without writing it down. So 10,000 AED is...
Come on then.
Hold on.
Do you want me to read this?
Yeah, I'm going to get you to read that. My eyesight isn't that good enough for a number that long without my glasses on.
I've just got to do some... It is 10,941,104.93 Colombian pesos. 10,941,104.93.
That sounds like
Colombian
a lot of money.
pesos. It's 10,000 AED.
There you go.
There you go.
Well, whilst Matt is looking at conversions on a small screen,
and
on
they
the
are
right
all
hand,
subject to changing my dodgy eyesight.
on the right-hand side of the screen, our Category 4 race is progressing, and wow, how it's progressing. So Gentili, Idic, Smithson and Vink, 4 riders now away. 35 seconds the gap back to Jackie Giuliano, who is leading the chase, but it is a pack chase behind. Now, a little bit further back down the road, the back of the Category 4 field has already been caught by the front of the Category 3 field. And you can see that on your screen in front of you on the left-hand side. There's one red jersey in that pack, but that bottom left-hand corner, you can see that Category 3 blue blob smack between 2 Category 4 red blobs. So a real indication of actually, I think, how well this pack are moving. So Category 3 now at 12 kilometers, 22 minutes of racing coming up. The pack very tight, still moving as an entire pack on the downhill section into this tunnel at the moment. They're moving just shy of 50 kph.
Really motoring, and so Category 2, to be fair, they also on a descent here, so they are absolutely flying on the way down. Julia Walkenhurst, who we're riding in with at the moment now, the speed just comes off a little bit. They've got a little bit of a rise as it goes over this section of the bridge with the arched hoop, part of the superstructure of the bridge, to then drop once again. It quickly picks up to 3.5%. They're going at 47 kph. Over 60 kph, so for Category 1 on the 4% descent down, it's really rolling. There's such a variation in pace. They are absolutely flying. And at the moment, you can see this group, which we're in with Marlene Bjarhed from Sweden, are really motoring and doing damage because there are riders being distanced.
There are indeed riders being distanced. So we've got Category 1 splitting now into numerous packs. We've got Bjarhed on the front. Colombi is there. Who else is in that group? But it's not very far behind the next. So Angie Parrott is there. But take a look. 20 seconds back the group to the second blob you can see on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen.
And that was a solo rider. Then 2:43 back to a group behind them, so or 2 minutes or so back. That is a substantial gap. Now, this group coming into the sprint, and this is our second sprint. This is the Bahrain sprint. So we've gone from the Abu Dhabi sprint to the Bahrain sprint. We still have 3 more after this, but this is all after the Aquarian climb. So the Bahrain sprint, this group going through, they're tapping out a rhythm here rather than necessarily absolutely launching down at warp speed. Nikki Lloyd taking the fastest time through there, I think, because she's just come up as having the jersey. Let's see if it's confirmed. There we go. Nikki Lloyd flying through there, 30.410. But then a mass of green jerseys.
Yeah, so the Category 2 pack and the Category 1 pack pretty much going through at the same pace. In fact, some of our Category 3 riders and Category 4 riders also in the mix. Very little to distinguish between our groups 1, 2 and 3 through that particular sprint.
So categories 1, 2 and 3 motoring the way through at very similar speed. Nikki Lloyd with the fastest time overall in that sprint, taking the green skin suit rather than a green jersey category 2. You can tell the difference because the shorts are also green when you take a sprint. Yep, it is a green skin suit. You can see, there you go. You can just catch a sight of Nikki in there. She has a full green skin suit, whereas if you're a category 2 rider, you get a green jersey and black shorts.
You do indeed.
There you go. That is how you can distinguish between the sprint winner or sprint leader and the riders in category 2.
Do you know what I'm really liking?
Go on.
I'm really liking that Lloyd has joined. This is her first Sunday race club, and she is not shy. She is not retiring. She is not just sat in the bunch having a ride. She is absolutely making a mark.
I mean, she
I love
might be
it.
quite some else in real life and be
I love it.
Be a lion out on the bike. We will find out as they move on. We just got a quick glimpse. I think that was category 4. Just the leaders continuing onwards. Just in with Lloyd at the moment. Now, heart rate 164 here, 165. Good pedal cadence, 80 pedal cadence here, keeping the pressure on those pedals, just sitting in the group. Looks to me like she's pretty much got the platform down. She must have spent a fair amount of time just to do the workouts, because of course there was a number of workouts to do on your way through. Just taking a look at the composition of this group, it could be a day where we're going to see a new name on the top of the standings here. It is certainly possible, isn't it? Because we are seeing riders progressing as they use training programs, as they race more on the platform as well. One rider who's really, I think, has progressed, Angie Parra, has moved her way up through the groups and come in. And Angie's on our screen at the moment, a rider who is more tactically shrewd.
Well, one of the things I love about Angie Parra, we saw her in category 2, and she was she progressed through category 2 and became very dominant, and we would often see her attack. She's a very brave rider. She likes to take the racing to the others. And coming up into category 1, she's been there or thereabouts in the first half of the race, and then she's not really had the level to go with in the final stages. But saying that, she is still quite aggressive. She still likes to make her presence felt, and she is really learning about how to race with these category 1 women. So Angie Parra, for me, really good to see that progression, and the fact now she's made the split in this race. She's in here and she's not afraid to stick her nose out into the wind. She's
not, and I think it's the old adage, isn't it? And I've said this before on the commentary, that you don't get faster by riding with people who are slower than you. You only get faster if you get pushed, if you progress, if you actually go with people who are quicker. And that is what makes people faster. It's what drives them on. And Angie, I think, is really responding to that in that category 1. And it also means that category 2 now don't have Angie Parra going for it from the gun off, which was aggressive tactics.
And we are seeing some very different racing here in category 2. So there's also a split here in category 2. You can see on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, there is a split here. So we've got the pack, which we are looking at the moment, which is the front green blob. It's got one blue rider, one category 3 rider taking a tow at the moment, but just off the screen, that is where the second green group of riders is, and they are behind this. So around 38 seconds behind, and then riders further back. So this group now, Walkenhurst is the rider we are in with at the moment. Embring is in here, so is Montoya and Ospina. These are riders we would expect to be in this front group of category 2. Lopez is the category 3 rider taking the tow, but this is still a large group, Matt.
It is a big group, but that's kind of expected, isn't it? I mean, we are currently in with the riders making the way along here. And at the moment, we're at 13.5K. It means that we are coming in towards uncategorized climb. No categorization for it in the Aquarian climb, but we know that this climb is tough stuff. it may be the point at which the riders attack. It may be the point where they start to kick and try and break these riders clear. Let's see how the riders do on here.
Well, we're currently in with Tanya Hohweiler, the rider we were talking about at the top end of the show. She's progressed from Category 3 into Category 2. She's made the selection into this front group, but this front group's still very large. So Hermansen pushing on this climb, Walkenhurst in 2, Embring in 3. Lam Kong, the Hong Kong rider we talked about earlier on today, also in the mix here. Hohweiler is holding her own as well in here. So that is great to see.
It is, and the more that we see our riders in the mix, the more they take on the racing, the better. But of course, for me, if I was moving up, I'd almost want to do my first race a little bit more carefully, I think, and less aggressively. I'd want to. Yeah, I'd used that word already. I was searching for another word. My internal thesaurus was not working very well. I think, for me, key here, and I am quite literally thinking aloud here. For me, I'm sat here watching this thinking, would I want to jump into this and just be my usual lunatic self of trying to attack here, there and everywhere and break the race? I wouldn't. I want to jump in. And this is true of Angie Parrott in here. Angie has come in here. She's sat in this group. She knows, she's learning how they ride. And now she's on at the front of the race in what is a very select group. Look at the size of that group. It is very, very minimal compared to the size of the group we've seen previously at a potentially similar point. I mean, we're talking about, what's that, 8 riders?
I think we're looking at that. So Engstrom is just off the back of the group here, 4 seconds back off the group. Fua has made it. Bjarhead is there as well. So is Angie Parra. We were just talking about her, weren't we? So I'm rating 1, 2, 3, 4. I think that's a group of 7.
Okay, let's see. We'll see who's right. You may be correct. There'll be 8 now, Angel, maybe. No, she's thrown the back.
No,
that was
Jenny
Sanchez just jumping in the back there. So, looks like it's 7 riders. Told you my maths was rubbish. On the way down this descent. And the pace is so fast. If you're distanced on that descent, you really can get in trouble because the gap opens up very, very fast. You're then into the wind. You're having to do as much work, if not more, than the riders at the front of the main group.
Yeah, one of the most important places to put an effort in is when you're getting dropped off the back of the group. That is your finish line, getting back on the group, because once you're back in the group, you can utilise the draft and hang on. But if you're looking like you're getting off the group, the second it's gone, it's gone.
Don't need to add anything to that, really. Let's face it.
When it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. You've got to push. You've got to keep in that group. Really interesting looking at the different ways these riders are riding, though, Emma. The climb for the riders when they make their way up and through is key, but it's not the only place, is it, where you can make that move. Like you say, when you were saying, when it's gone, you're gone. I think you've got more danger of losing the group sometimes on a downhill, particularly through inattention, and that's where a good rider can lose it. And if you're smart, and maybe you're not the strongest rider, by being smart, say attacking over the top of a climb into a downhill, or where there's a flatter section before another downhill descent, so that step downhill, kick just as you go into the flat, power your way along the flat. You can put a gap in there.
I
that
agree
means
with
everybody
you
else
completely.
has to find.
I am agreeing with Matt here. Let's ding ding.
Don't
Emma
you
is agreeing
diary.
with Matt. We talked about the fact that the first 27 kilometres of this race is rolling, and then we've got a big Category 2 climb at the end. You automatically assume the Category 2 climb is where the racing is going to be. I think you're right, Matt. We have seen people time trial at a set pace and catch a group of riders on a climb who have been kicking, resting, kicking, resting, kicking, resting. The actual difficulty part of this race is the earlier section where it is constantly rolling. There's lots of little ups, there's lots of downs, and there's flat sections. And if you lose the group there, I agree, it is harder to get back on, particularly on a downhill section. That Category 1 group were moving at nearly 50 kilometres an hour when the riders went off the back of that. A lone rider cannot catch a group moving at that pace on a downhill section. You know, if that group were doing, let's say, 3 watts per kilo, even at 5 watts per kilo, the lone rider would struggle to get back on.
Yep. Okay. I think that's as clear as clear. Yeah.
Well, talking
I
about
agree
clear
with you
is,
as well.
I know. I was going to go straight
You?
past that. The shock was just going to let me carry on talking about Category 3, because Category 3, this is still a very large group on the road here. Wendy McAlpine, Angel Hadlock is here. They are all together at the moment. Mabin is in here. Jose Zabala is in here. Gallego is in here. We've got one or two riders just off the back here. So I think the group, yeah, it is indeed 45 seconds back to the next Category 3 rider. But this group look as though they're moving really well together.
They are nicely together. They're working together. I think today, so far, could be summed up by very fast moving groups that are compact and are working well together. That for me is key, and that's true whether it's our Category 4 riders on the right hand side of your screen, where we have 4 riders together, or on the left hand side of your screen. It's still not the whole pack, is it, of Category 3 riders. They do have the advantage that they have got a bit of pace there, and they're at 19k. It's about 600 meters to the lead of the race overall to take the front position, with Category 4 currently at 20.6k, Category 3 at 19.1 at the moment. So it's
1.5 kilometers.
Kilometers. Do you know, I'm sure that just changed. Either that or my maths is even worse than I thought. Today's theme could not be small groups. It could be how bad is Matt's maths.
Well, how bad is Matt's maths? Well, Catherine Fua is going to put the power down at the moment and make Matt do some more adding and subtracting. No. As Fua pushes on, Gonzalez goes over the top. But these riders now stretching their legs on this little climb here. But this, as we said, is just a group of 7 riders now leading this Category 1 race. So Fua and this Category 1 leading group sweeping round the right-hand bend into the underwater tunnels. The pace still high at the moment, 40 kph on this flat section here. This group working well together and continuing to motor at the front of this Category 1 race today. Now, let's just remind our viewers, the Category 1 field were the last group to start today. They started 5 minutes behind the Category 2 race field, 10 minutes behind the Category 3 race field, and 15 minutes behind the Category 4 race field. So, will Category 4 stay the leaders on the road for much longer, or will they get caught by Category 3, Category 2, or indeed Category 1 before the finish?
100% yes, they're going to get caught, and that is no disrespect to Category 4. It is just that the way this course is profiled, with that end climb being so long, it's going to make a big difference. And you look at the racing at the moment. Brittany Litton at the moment has got the power down.
Hey,
look at the string out here. This is doing some damage. We are on this, and it's going to go up. It's going to go up big style, and then we're going to see a depression. Remember, they're at 20.3k. Now, if you remember your course profile, this is the run in. The top of your top right-hand side of your screen, you can see the profile. It goes over the bump and drops all the way down here. Litton looking good.
Well, Brittany Litton came up from Category 4. She dominated with Ella Vink in Category 4 in the MyWhoosh Championships earlier this year. She then went on to dominate that category, and she's progressed to Category 3. And now it is really good to see her really starting to motor within that race category and starting to really show what she can do. It's taken her some time to settle into this race category, Matt.
It has, but she's acclimatized. It does take time, and it's a bit like acclimatizing to heat or altitude. When you move up in the category, it's like going up into
you're
higher
acclimatizing to stronger riders.
Yeah, totally, 100%, and a different speed of racing. And anybody who's ridden, you know what it's like when you go out there. If you find a faster rider, or when I was young, it was trying to ride behind a tractor, then it was about getting in behind and jumping in behind and taking that faster pace. And knowing how to ride fast is a skill. It's a definite skill. Let's have a look at our riders. You can see at the moment there are Category 1 riders, and they are now through the aquarium climb, and they, well, They've switched on that skill of riding fast, haven't they, Emma? Because now we're seeing different colours. It's almost all yellow at the front of that race field going through the climb.
Yeah, and you can see there Gonzalez Ruet setting the fastest time through there, 3 minutes 52. But Angie Parra, Catherine Fua, Ursula Kenzai, Marlene Biarhead, Jenny Sanchez, and Martina Echevec are indeed the 7 riders in that leading group.
They are, and they are the riders who are at the front. Does it tell you how much slower the rest? Can you find the details of how much slower the rest are? That says to me they've not yet managed to get up and through the time. We will see and try and take a little look at that when they come through. But that is subject to, of course, us juggling our multitude of screens. Now, the leading riders on your screen at the moment going in through our next sprint segments. So the riders are making the way in. They're going to come in through the banner. This is going to be the end of the Kazawatan sprint, and that means that these 7 riders, will they have backed off? I suspect they have somewhat, because I think that they pushed on the climb. It's Gonzalez, but he's not dominated by yellow jerseys there by any stretch of the imagination. And for me, that says that is all about how these riders have put the pace on.
Well, for me, this is all about Category 3. This is all about how Category 3 were moving at this point in time, and they were really pushing on at this point. So they were moving at around, well, 3.7, 3.5, 3.6 watts per kilo, which is a steady pace for Category 1, but a push on for Category 3.
And these are your Category 3 riders. You can see it's Stefania Sanchez, who has got the green skin suit of the leader of the points competition so far. At the moment, just going down through the rest of the sprint point competition, and the groups are splitting. There is a gap. Let's see how these riders go. We're just going to watch them descend down here. They've got a Category 4 rider in amongst them. So Rona Tanglian, the rider here in Category 4, just watching her there as we came down the descent, riding nicely in with this group, got caught at just the right time, I think, able to use this draft to sit in the pack. And the top end of Category 4 can be basically the power that's needed to sit in with the group comfortably in Category 3 when you've got some decent draft there.
Very much, and it does depend exactly on what you said about where on the course they are caught. Catch on a climb, very unlikely to be able to stay with a group that's coming faster from behind you. Catch on a downhill or on a flat, you can modulate your pace to get into that group.
And that modulation of pace, that changing in rhythm is one of the things we're looking for when we're looking at the pedal revolutions as well. So the riders who are sitting usually around about the 70 to 90 mark generally have the power and pace. Now, we're on this section of climb. This is a move to go over the top by Hermansen. She knows that once she's over this section, she can drop down. Is she going to split anybody off the back of the group? It's well worth a kick here. This, for me, is a key part. So this is the riser before we drop down into the main dip prior to the final climb. So the climb, it's a climb of 2 parts. You've got a little kicker to come out of the depression where they're about to drop into. You can see that top right hand side. You climb out, you've got a flat section, and then it kicks onto the main final climb of the Jebel Yates. However, this section with Hermansen pushing over the top here, I mean, 5.5 watts per kilo. She's really giving it some over the top
there.
This
is a concerted effort by Hermansen to try and break this group. 12 riders were in this leading group. Hermansen utilising this climb and then the drop down on the other side to try and break it. Embring is going with her, so is Kong, so is Botero. Howeller is really working hard to go with them as well. Walkenhurst is there too. Now, if we take a look on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, we can see that they are also going past Category 3 and Category 4 back markers, but she's not done as much damage as she probably would have liked to this group. I think she's going to have lost 1 or 2 riders, and this pack is still going to be around 10 riders leading this Category 2 race.
So our riders on the top, it's really a plateau here, isn't it? And I think for me, this is a key section coming in to the final climb. You can see our riders here in the Category 3 leading group, about to catch more riders in Category 4. They are now climbing out. Now, this for me would be where I would want to put in a really big push here, a really hard push, because there is chance if you can recover quickly, you can do that on the step that's coming up afterwards. So push here out of this depression up towards the roundabout. You're going to have a chance to break this group apart, and this for me is a really key moment. Hadlock is doing this. She really is starting to stretch that group out. So right hand side of your screen, riders exiting that depression, starting to make the way up towards that roundabout climb. The pressure being put on by Mabin here now, up in with this group. They need to keep the power down though, because if you let everybody back together, it's an opportunity missed. Taking a look on the left-hand side of your screen, it's Category 1. It's another green. Archers are coming in at 19.7k. They're coming to the end of the Liwa Desert Sprint, which means that they are coming up towards the riser and the drop down where we saw Lisa Hermansen put in that big dig not all that long ago. Let's have a look at the times through here. So at the moment it is Category 3 that were really aggressive. Sanchez, Zabala, head out, Mabin, Gallego, Alpine going through. Lytton not far off that pace either. It's fractions of a second separating them. Angie Para indicating that that leading group of Category 1 riders are super close as well. So very, very tight indeed in our overall as we go over the top at the end of that sprint section. But as you can see here, these are the leaders now of Category 3. They've gone round the roundabout and they have made a split in the group behind. There are gaps starting to open up, and there are riders in trouble behind the leading group here. I think it's about 10 or 12 seconds separating our 3 leaders from the chasers, and they are now trying to pursue down the riders at the front of the race as well.
Well, they are indeed, and only about 550 metres between the front of the Category 3 race and the front of the Category 4 race now. So they have pulled that 1.5 kilometres back, and just the 550 metres left to go before they see the front 4 in the race. But take a look at that left-hand side of your screen. We've got riders strung out all the way, and are they going to tow some of these Category 4 riders back to that leading group of 4 of Idic, Gentali, Vink and Smithson?
Could be the case, because they are on this flat run. They're only going to have a certain amount of distance to be able to do that, and that is in the run in to the base of the climb, which starts at 27k. So not far to go for them to close down these riders. They're at 26k covered at the moment, so they're basically halfway across that flat step. They make the way in through 26.1k done for them, and they know that the big climb, the climb of the MyWhoosh, is on its way. And that is our climb up to the finish. The climb finishing at 34.5 for the timed climb. There will then be 500 meters between the polka dot banner and the yellow banner for the finish of the race itself. Idzik and Co at the moment at the front here. So Idzik, Smithson, Vink and Gentili leading the 4 riders at the moment. They are the riders who have the very front of the race. Chasing groups behind, well, they are sandwiched between our riders on the right of your screen and the riders on the left hand side of your screen, because they're leaders in Category 1. There are leaders over there on the left of your screen. In Category 1, it's another select group. They're over the top and they're about to start the run down into that deep well, into that deep depression, and the speed will pick up very quickly. This is where they run into that little springboard that I would certainly be using. However, we're about to hit the climb for the race leaders here. And if you remember your course profile from here, the only way pretty much is up.
Yeah, well, as Yaz carries on singing, it's
Oh.
5 kilometres between the front of this race and the chasing lead group of Category 1. 5 kilometres separating Category 1 from the leaders in Category 4. And these 4 riders about to go skywards.
So here we go. You can just see that polka dot banner just coming into sight, and the distance there topped with the UCI logo. Remember, MyWhoosh awarded the esports partner for the UCI for the run right up to 2026. Lots of details on the website. But Idzik, go underneath that polka dot banner, and now on to the climb, the gradient at 3.844, nearly 5. Here we go, over 5%, and climbing. This is where we aim to go up. We're going up the mountain in front of us. This is all about getting that pace in, setting a tempo that you know you can do all the way to the top of the climb. That's really key. Gentili at the moment setting a pace 3.5 watts per kilo. She was at, I think she's realized she was just gapping the riders, wanting a little bit of support. These are the chasers though, and this also contains the leaders here, and it's a multi-color peloton that are chasing here, because we have Category 2 and Category 3 leaders and the chasers in Category 4 all looking to pull back those riders who are up the road.
Well, as this next group, as this Category 3 race pack hit the bottom of the climb, the distance between these two groups is indeed coming down, currently at around 40 seconds to make up for this Category 3 group to catch the leaders on the road. But as they cannot see them yet, well, is how strong is the motivation to catch them? Now, we always know when you can see riders leading you, you really have the able to push on.
So we're going to take a look at these riders. My apologies, they are green sprint jerseys. After me telling you it was a sprint jersey with the green shorts.
You did indeed.
Yeah,
and then
I managed to miss
wrong.
them. Well, you know, the man who never made a mistake never made anything. Fortunately, one thing that we can always rely on is that when we get to a hill, our climbers are going to attack, and they're going to put the pressure on somewhere on that climb, and that's where we're heading to now. 27.3k done for the riders, and let's show you that in context of the race route. As you can see, we hit the start of that climb, the climb going from 27k right the way up to the top of the hill. And remember, of course, with 500 meters at the end between the final banner, it's not perfectly one gradient. No, there are
not
little sections, but they're not big platforms, are they?
No, so the average gradient here is 5.5%, but it is not consistent, and you will have already seen in those early stages of the climb it hitting 6-7%. Now there are, if you look carefully at the gradient in red of that Category 2 climb, you can see a number of steps where you've got a steeper section and then a little flat, then a steeper section and then another little flat. So we will see the gradient go above that 5.5% average. It will go below, obviously, as well. But the steeper sections, you know, we're going to see 7-8%. We're not going to see the type of steepness that we see in Australia when we're on the Wollongong climb of 17%. But this is a long climb. This is 7.5 kilometres.
Now, if this was you, Emma, you're coming into this climb that we can see this big red section. You know it's going to go to within 500 meters of the finish line. It's actually going to continue ascending to the finish line, as we regularly see on mountain stages, between the polka dot banner finish and the actual finish of the race. What would your tactic be here? Bear in mind what you've had before here. This is you sat there racing your race. You can pick a category if the tactics are different. But what would your tactics be here, looking at that profile?
My personal tactics on this climb would be to, 1, stay in the group as long as possible. 2, if I do lose the group, to sit at a pace. This is a long climb. Personally, I can tap out a consistent pace and I can stay on my heart rate to the beat for 20 to 30 minutes. Now, that is very different to some of the other riders. So my tactic as to how I would ride a 7.5 kilometre climb would be very different potentially to somebody else, Matt. What about you?
Well, I reckon for me it would be a very different tactic. So for me, I would aim to stay with the group, and the moment that it leveled off, if I could stay at that pace, just as you're coming to the leveling off, maybe about 100 meters before the leveling off, I would be putting in a big effort every single time, with maybe 7 or 8 changes of pace on the distance of the climb, with the aim to break everybody else's rhythm up. Don't let anybody be happy.
You see, you'd be attacking the likes of me.
Yeah, don't let anybody be settled on there. If you let a climber or a rider, a strong rider, sit at a pace, at a tempo, then they're going to dictate the pace. You can either be a sheep and follow, or you can be the wolf on the attack, and I'd much rather be the wolf on the attack.
The hare and the tortoise.
It's going to be interesting to see which tactics play out on the climb. Who rides like someone hidden in their own shell, and who is going to go out there all exuberantly and put them their head above the parapet and risk being shot by the shepherd. We will see as these riders go up the climb. Well, you see the, boom or bust, isn't it? Let's face it.
Well, yeah. And for the likes of me, one extra beat on my heart rate and I've bust.
Well, we're going to see who's on their limit. Here we go. Remember, 35 kilometers total distance, category 2 now. Hermansen's attack. There were 12 riders, if I remember correctly, in this group. This is not 12 riders anymore. This is a select group. This has come down, and these are the riders we would expect to be in the mix, including some new riders in here. Lam Kung on the way up here. Is Lam going to be able to do this? Will Anna Embring be able to take this out? We're going to see who is going to be our riders who are going to be at the front of the mix. Meanwhile, front of the race, we are going to see the catch. So the first of the riders who are going to make the junction to Gentili, Idzik, Smithson and Vink are going to be our category 3 leaders. And this, 9 times out of 10, causes issues for riders in both groups, because the confusion of that catch very often will cause the riders to string out, and it's also about being able to take draft from the riders in front. If you're on the front of the chasing group, it is key to push into the draft of the riders you're catching and use that to rocket forward. If you're at the back of the group as you catch, you are already in the draft, so you don't get that sudden acceleration of being able to get extra draft. It just doesn't give you as much bonus. So having that bonus, it's like having a booster rocket. Get to the front of the group when you're catching. If you're in the group that's being caught, this is about knowing that the riders are coming and being ready to getting the timing right to go with it and stay with the leaders as long as possible. If you can do that, you've got a chance. At the moment, Vink and Gentili right in there. It's like a little bit further down. Could well be in trouble. You can see at the moment on the right of your screen in that sprint skin suit, it is Ella Vink who is out of the saddle. She's staying as long as she can. She's trying to get the gap on Gentili. She's trying to use the draft of the riders in front. Now, traveling at 16 kph, you're not going to get masses of draft advantage, but it is well worth doing. Hadlock, Mabin, Vink on the front of this. 3 riders being followed by a trail of destruction behind.
Well, Claudia Gentili is trying to stay in there as well. These riders all trying to hang on for as long as possible as we drop back down onto the course, and you can see this is the leading group in the category 1 race. 26.4 kilometers now traveled. They are moving and moving well, so these riders continuing to push, they're continuing to work their way. They've got a couple of category 2 riders in here. Giraldo is in here, as well as one of her category 2 compatriots. I think that's Fiona Schroeder in here as well. So these riders continuing to push, continuing to work, continuing to chase down the riders on the road in front of them. And you can see from that bottom left-hand corner of your screen, the riders now up the road ahead of them are coming back into view thick and fast.
They are. This is going to be very interesting to see whether they can make the catch in totality and get to the very front of the race. Remembering, of course, that the only thing that really matters in terms of prizes is within your own category. But we have riders in here in category 2 trying to stay in this group. This is going to be really interesting.
Well, it's not hard for them to try and stay in this group. This Category 1 pack have backed off the pace completely on the run-in to the Jebel Yace. They've backed off the pace. They were down at 1.4 watts per kilo. As the power now starts to push on a little more from them, not an explosive start to the climb, but a very steady state start to the climb from our Category 1 race field.
Now, leaders in the race overall, there's been a regrouping. Just looking to see if we have 3 Category 4 riders in there or 2 in that group. It looks to me in the group itself are 2. So you've got 1 actual red jersey, that is Gentili. You've got 1 green skin suit of Category 4 sprint points leader, that is Ella Vink, and I can't see Idzik in that group. I think she's trailed off by a few seconds at the moment, but it looks like the riders in Category 4, because they're staying with the pace of the Category 3 riders, McAlpine, Head Out, Arias, Mabin, as well as De Silva, they are able to stay with that group, and that is going to be key to the pace going up here. We're just in with Vink at the moment, the rider in that green skin suit, the front green skin suit, because that is the leader of the Category 4 sprints. You've got Stefania Sanchez, the leader of the Category 3 sprints, in there as well. And they are all in that leading group, and now we're starting to see Gentili drop to the back of the group. Is this an indication that she's not got the pace, or is that going to be Idzik making contact just out of sight? I think that's Idzik making contact. Oh, look at this. Now, this could be 3 riders back together. I think this is now 3 riders back together again.
I think what you're going to see is actually Ella Vink has lost the green jersey. Has? So Ella Vink has lost the green jersey, which then means that she's become a red jersey rider. So actually, this is no change. This is Gentili and Vink, the Category 4 riders in this pack. The green jersey has now been taken by one of the other riders in Category 3.
And to explain how that happens, that means that a rider...
All about points.
It's all about points. So somebody else in their category. So Category 4, the jersey was held by Ella Vink. Somebody further down the race field has sprinted through with a faster time in the Category 4 sprint and taken that jersey. Remember, each category on screen getting their own sprint jersey. In Category 3, it's Stefania Sanchez. She's holding that. But that is not guaranteed, because she's up at the front of the points at the moment. But there are riders behind still making their way through those final sprints. The Liwa Desert Sprint, the penultimate one, the RAK Sprint at the final sprint point, and they are taking points. And it is possible, we've seen it in the championship, for riders to take points by resting in between and sprinting the segments, not benefiting from necessarily a fast group.
No, and if you've lost the front of the race, then actually you want to put my teeth back in. If you've lost the front of the race and you want a qualification and verified ride to qualify for the final of them in the month, then actually taking a recovery between each sprint and then sprinting each of the segments is a great training ride. And utilising a training ride to qualify and verify for the final, absolutely brilliant tactic.
It is indeed. Now, really interesting. Jenny Sanchez has been noticeable by her absence on the front of this group, you know. She's not done that much work on the front.
Well,
she's been pretty cool, calm and collected at the back here.
She's been noticeable by her ability to be in the top 5 recently. She was 3rd last week. She didn't make the top 5 in the final, but that 3rd place last week on Paso Alto, you know, this is quite a similar gradient.
I wouldn't discount her at all.
No,
I think this is very smart riding. And then, as you got to pay, I mean, we're talking about this as, you know, albeit decisive. We're 28.4k. So we've still got over 6 kilometres to go to the finish in a 35k race.
Yep.
Pretty much all of which is uphill.
Yep.
Pretty much all of which is going to test these riders. Where do you actually put this attack in? Because at the moment, I guess, if you're on the lower slopes, you've got the chance to put maybe 2 or 3 attacks in if you can recover. If you can recover. But for some riders, and for most riders, in fact, when you get into the last 1 or 2k, you've only got 1 chance. There's 1 attack. You're not going to recover quick enough otherwise.
I think also one of the things to take into account is the fact that those Category 1 riders have got all these other riders up the mountain in front of them. And some of the pack packs are still together. Take a look at this category 3 pack at the front here. You know, that is 8-9 riders in that group. It's 9 riders in that group because Claudia Gentelli is the rider at the back there. Stefania Sanchez now just taking up that in that green jersey. So this pack here, 9 riders. This is the leading group on the road. So the category 1 pack, when they do make the catch, have got a lot of riders still to go through, and that will play its part in this race.
Here we go. Here we go. When is the attack going? It's gone. It's Catherine Fua. She's gone early. She's gone at the 28.5k mark, pretty much pre-29k. She's gone. She's elicited a response here from Gonzalez Rua. However, the rest of the road, as you can see on the right-hand side of your screen, it's full of red and gold chevrons as everybody now starts to respond here. The first shot fired by Fua in what is going to be a salvo of attacks on this climb. But who will have that final killer blow to take this away? We've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of great riders, and we've got some great terrain for them to go through to get up to the top. They're currently in the shade of the mountain of the Jebel Yace. These riders, they've got to push. Look at this. There are still riders having to dig really deep, and we are losing riders off the back. Erehek at the moment in trouble. So is Kasani. You can see they are having to push to get onto the back of this group. The pace is being pushed. So close here, and we have a long way to go.
This is mounting towards a superb finish in this category 1 race. Fua pushing on there. Bjarhead is in the mix. Gonzalez Rua, let's not forget, she was 3rd in qualifier race number 2 in August, so she has got form at the moment. So looking at this group of 6 riders leading this category 1 race, well, there's 5 podium spots, Matt. One of these riders is going to miss out.
I'm just pulling a sad face, but it doesn't really work.
It doesn't really work on a microphone, no.
Not really. You can probably hear it coming across.
What,
just
you can
sad.
Hear a sad face?
Yeah, sad face.
Oh, goodness me.
Well, somebody's going to lose out. And you know me, I like everybody to be a winner, but I think, to be honest, great racing is what we want in the commentary box, and that's what we get to. We get some really exciting and some really thoughtful racing from our riders, and they're thinking and they're doing lots of action.
Well, if you want to be a winner, come and join us on the Sunday Race Club next week. You can still join for September. Qualifier race number 3 is where we will be at next week. Then we will move to the monthly final. Then October starts. So if you want a couple of weeks just practicing and training on the platform before you start racing in October, that is also good as well. Head over to MyWhoosh.com, download the app if you haven't already. You can ride on the app, you can train on the app, you can race on the app. There is lots there for you. And if you want to find the Sunday Race Club and you want to join the Sunday Race Club, head over to the events page, click on the Sunday Race Club. You will find all the information about next week's race. You will find the technical guide, the rule set, the verification information. You will need to read that all and then follow the process, and you too can be on the start line of the Sunday Race Club, making the action and on this broadcast.
Indeed. I mean, it's always great to see our riders, and don't forget, MyWhoosh really has that focus on professionalizing and putting out their great racing. The verification process is evolving with time. It's always been right on the limit with the AI, with the checks, with that assessment of the riders, and that is continuing onwards. So the rules do evolve. So even if you're a rider who's regularly been with us for a long time, guys, really important that you check what you need to do, make sure that you get that done correctly.
Yeah, one of the things I'm really looking forward to are those new team rides on MyWhoosh. So the teams in the monthly competition for the monthly final being part and parcel of that.
It is, and we've seen it already. We've seen some great rides. I've seen some really good rides being put up by people. I just seen one by Tom Gates actually.
And the
being
ability
put up
to
there.
chat with the team members.
100%. And there's the chat going on, and there's the rides going on. There's different types of rides, and that community really starting to build.
So you can watch your favourite races on the Sunday Race Club, and then you can join a ride in the week, and you can actually chat to those races that you watch on the Sunday.
I was just contemplating whether I physically would be able to chat whilst riding with anybody who races.
It's a team ride, it's not a race.
And actually, do you know what? I think I probably could.
Yeah.
That's only.
But you can ask them any question
Yeah.
you want. You could pick their brains.
Yeah, they might not tell you.
They
the
might
answers.
not answer.
They might not want you to take the prices off them. I wouldn't tell you my best tactics.
Yeah,
We'll
but
see.
what a phenomenal opportunity
Yes.
to get in with the riders and the races on the Sunday Race Club. Not just joining the Sunday Race Club yourself, but if you're not sure you're ready for that, getting in on those team rides.
And if you want a slightly shorter ride, or you want something through the week, Tune Up Tuesdays, a regular race platform on Tune Up Tuesday. Some great goodie bags and some fantastic kit going out to people on the Tune Up Tuesday. A different race format, no broadcast. However, don't let that take away from the fact it's a great fun to race and ride.
Yeah.
You never know. One day you might actually see either Emma or me on there if we actually manage to drag ourselves away from preparing for a Sunday, which we do quite a lot of, it has to be said, including watching our riders and between watching them, internet stalking them, checking their Strava feeds, or even better, tell us what you're doing. Save us a bit of work. Go on, do it. You know you want to. Get in touch with @BikingEmma. Let Emma know what you've been up to in the week. If, like Ella Vink, you have been out riding and training, I'm sure Ella has been doing that because we know just how much riding she does. Emma, all these riders can get in touch with you @BikingEmma. Is there anything in particular? What's the most important thing you would like to know?
Well, what's the most important thing I would like to know? I just like to keep up to date with what's going on, you know, and I love to see how riders are progressing, where they're actually riding. We've seen some of the riders get in contact who have been on holiday and taken their MyWhoosh setup to race the Sunday Race Cup on holiday with them. And we've seen pictures of riders racing the Sunday Race Club outside of a camper van. You know,
Yeah.
all of these. If you're doing something interesting but you're still on the Sunday Race Club, drop in, say hello. You can find me @BikingEmma on Instagram. Anything new you want to show us, anything you want to chat about, anything you'd like us to bring up in commentary, perhaps it's your birthday, get in touch, let us know. We love to hear the stories from you.
I'm not singing happy birthday no matter what anybody says, and you definitely aren't, because your singing's worse than mine. That says
I
something.
wouldn't dream of singing. Anyway,
Lucky
let's
escape.
get back to the racing, shall we? Because on the right-hand side of your screen, we've got the leaders on the road at the moment. This is the Category 3 leading group, and it's a big group still, this Category 3 race. They're at 33.2 kilometres into this race, and as we are talking, Hadlock just coming onto the front here and pushing on a little bit because this group is too large. You know, there are 6 riders still in this group. Arias is 15 seconds back, Pelagio is 16 seconds back, so it's 6 riders still in contention at the front of this race in Category 3. But on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, you can see what is going on behind on the mountain.
You can, and I'm watching these riders now as the distance ticks down with 33.4k covered. We're soon going to be heading into that final kilometre now. Traditionally, sprints are about 200 metres. Everybody can sprint for 200 metres, pretty much. It's very rare anybody can't sprint for 200 metres. Maybe Emma's the exception to that. However, it's true, believe me. I got a fast twitch bone in her body. However, the riders going in, the point here is they're running out of time. And depending on what effort they can put in and how long they can sustain that, are they going to do a minute effort? Are they going to do a 2 minute? How well do they know the climb here? How well do they know that finish? How well do they know how long it takes to cover? You know, getting that timing right. We've seen it so many times. Riders go too soon and they blow up, or they leave it too late and they've got something left as they go over the line and they get beaten. Wow. It's so easy for that to happen, and that is a real problem. You know, I think it's not just about this attrition that we're seeing on the screen now.
Well, Angie Parra, the rider off the back now of this Category 1 race field. It was 6 riders, it's now 5. But Parra, a phenomenal ride. You know,
yep.
All credit to Angie
Definitely.
Parra. She is getting better and better and better. And she is doing that, racing with these Category 1 women. She came up from Category 2. And since she's done that, she has really progressed. So great riding, Angie Parra. Absolutely brilliant. You know, she's now 8 seconds back off that leading group, now of 5 riders in that Category 1 race.
I'll tell you something, my prediction would be that we are going to see Angie Parra taking prize money before we get to the end of the calendar year, at the end of December. I will put you money on it that she's going to be top 5.
I'll tell you watching that one with great joy if she achieves it.
Yeah, definitely love to see progression of riders. Now, another rider who's progressed, Lisa Hermansen on the attacking category at 2 here, 6-second gap back to Konas. To Konas, another rider again who's really starting to. Her form is really there at the moment. She's up there. She's got Walkenhurst for company. She's right at the front end of this race. You've got Kate Tredin coming up on her heels. Smithers is not out of this yet. Neither is Embring. Neither is Gerardo Montoya behind. These riders are very, very close. Do not be deceived by the fact that there are gaps in the groups. We still have plenty of climbing to the finish. Remember, the climb segment finishes at 34.5k. 34.5k, so 500 meters between the polka dot banner and the end of the race. Really interesting now. So Laura Konas in here with Kate Tredin along with Julia Walkenhurst. Smithers only 4 seconds off the back of that group. Hermansen is up the road and the gap is opening up here. This is going to be very interesting because I think Hermansen is on a proper push, and if the rest of the riders don't respond, they're not going to get back in touch.
Well, look at that, 700 meters now to go in that category 3 race. McAlpine is up there, Hadlock, Mabin, Hino, Sanchez, De Silva is there as well. So 6 riders leading this group.
Well, they might be leaving the group as well here because McAlpine pushing on the front here. Hadlock responding at the moment. Stefani Sanchez. When the pressure goes on, it's Sanchez who's at the back of this group having to respond time and time again. She's got the points jersey, which means that she can do that short effort. She can sprint, but time is running out. These are the riders heading into the finish. McAlpine has gone early, 5 watts per kilo here. Now, she's got 500 meters to go when she hits the polka dot banner. Can she maintain that pace? Behind Hadlock is coming and coming quick. Well, Hadlock on the move.
She is indeed, and so is Mabin. Mabin and Sanchez, you said she had a kick on her. Sanchez is using that kick at the moment as she continues to push. They are all working hard and there is nothing between them at the moment.
And that group's come back together again. 400 meters to go. Time are running out to make a decisive long-range attack in here. We're out of that Ekimov territory of 1k to go. We're moving in to the Cipollini S sprint as you come in. Going all old school with our references here today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. Now, who's going to get this? It's Hadlock on the front who's just stretching it out. A response comes from McAlpine. McAlpine's taking that polka dot skin suit. Now Hadlock squeezes a little bit more behind the Silvers coming up pace. Time's running out now. They need to get the timing right. That banner will come into sight very quickly. Here it comes. We're aiming for the yellow banner. That's the end of the race here today on qualifying. And it's going to be a good qualifier today for one rider. It's going to be Hadlock, is it? She's gone hard. She's at 7 watts per kilo. She's kicking at 10. Massive kick from Hadlock. She's going to take this victory by a mile. What a ride. Angel Hadlock takes victory here today on the MyWhoosh Sunday Race Club. What a win. Perfect timing.
Yeah, it was indeed, because the 6 riders came up that climb to the last 500 meters together in that category 3 race. Hadlock pushed on, her winning time 1 minute 16.31, 6 seconds in front of Wendy McAlpine.
And then it's De Silva in 3, Hedo in 4, and Sanchez in 5. These are riders continue to push in to the finish in that category. Meanwhile, we are down here and we are in with 2 of our polka dot jerseys. So the rider that you're looking for is the rider in the polka dot with the number 2 on the back. That indicates that that is our rider in category 2, Lisa Hermansen. She's got company of Gallego there, the category 3 polka dot rider behind. But this looks to me like Lisa Hermansen is going to go riding clear to victory in category number 2, because Lisa Hermansen has the gap to Walkenhurst. It's still holding at about 5 seconds. It's close, you know.
Well,
this could go from her.
Well, it's going to be a chase for second, third and fourth behind. So Hermansen kicks at 10 watts per kilo. Walkenhurst is coming. Walkenhurst is coming fast from behind. But Hermansen is going to make it to the line. So Lisa Hermansen in category 2. Julia Walkenhurst comes through for second. Takanis is looking like she's going to take third. That was a great race in category 2 as well.
Great race by Hermansen to take victory. Takanis being followed over the line by Embering as they come through, which didn't, I think, going in through the line as well. Great riding now down on the course. 2 sets of riders to come. First of all, category 4 leader, soon to be category 4 winner. She went in a breakaway of 3 riders. She took it down to 2. She's taken it to 1 with her ability to climb. It's going to be Ella Vick in category 4 coming through to take the win in that category 4 competition. Behind, I think there's going to be a little bit of a wait now to see who comes in behind her. Such is the gap. Meanwhile, Catherine Fuhr on the offensive, and Jenny Sanchez is trying to answer her behind. She's the nearest rider. The 2 on your screens, the 2 yellow jerseys, you can see this is Fuhr with the white helmet and the yellow gloves and socks here. The black helmet behind is Jenny Sanchez with the white gloves and the yellow jersey. The 2 riders, though, are not separated by much. 500 meters to go as they go underneath the polka dot banner. At the moment, it's Fuhr in the driving seat. Well,
Fuhr is in the driving seat at the moment as she comes through and she takes the fastest time so far up the Jebel Yace with less than 500 meters to go. She's going to turn the right-hand bend at the end of this straight and see the finish line, but she's not there yet. Jenny Sanchez 8 seconds back at the moment as Fuhr continues to work. She's continuing to push up this climb.
Now Sanchez has set a great pace here, trying to hold on to Catherine Fuhr. Fuhr was the hot favourite. Sometimes when you're favourite, it makes it even harder. You have a target on your back. At the moment, the target of the leader in category 1 are those red polka dots showing that she's the fastest rider up our climbs today. She only has to reach the yellow banner to make that a race win as well. It's looking to me like it is going to be a smoother ride in, though. She's got the gap to Jenny Sanchez, to Marlene Bjarhed. The riders in 2nd and 3rd place at the moment. It's going to be Catherine Fuhr coming through to take the win in category number 1. What a rider. Serious form for the rider taking victory in category 1. But behind Sanchez, kicking all the way to the line. Great second place for Jenny Sanchez. She'll take away that second prize, subject to verification, as will Marlene Bjarhed. Subject to verification, it will be a 3rd place for Marlene Bjarhed. We still have plenty of riders out on the climb and across the course in all of our categories. So do make sure you keep an eye on what they're up to. You can catch up with them on the MyWhoosh.com website /results. So as you can see, our first 3 riders in category 1, home Catherine Fuhr in 1, Jenny Sanchez in 2, Marlene Bjarhed in 3. Just joined, in fact, by Martina Heck. You can see that the results are live at the moment. At the end of the racing, when all our riders in there will turn to unofficial, and when they're then verified and checked, they will become official results. Colombia are taking away a 5th place there in category 1. Great racing today, Emma, in the women's race, and we've got a cracker coming up because it's our very first visit on the Sunday Race Club
to Belgium
for the men.
I am looking forward to the men, but let's take nothing away from the women today.
Nope.
That was absolutely phenomenal racing in all 4 categories.
Yep, and it set the bar high for the men in Belgium. So let's see if they live up to the standard that has been set by our women riders here today. It's been great putting words to the action. We will be back with you shortly. Make sure you tune in on the MyWhoosh live channel on Twitch TV. But from all of the team behind the scenes, from Emma Martin and from myself, Matt Payne, in the meantime, stay safe. We'll see you again soon.
Goodbye.